Good morning. I'm Reverend Dorst. Peace be with you. And that has a special significance this morning. So please take a deep breath as we move into the opening prayer. Breathe in the breath of the divine. Exhale. And know that God is present right here, right now, in this very space. In, around, and through each of us, each one of us here, in, around, and through our feelings, in, around, and through our collective consciousness, in, around, and through this magnificent community. And that presence is a healing presence, is a presence of beauty and compassion and love. And that loving presence guides us through today, for this day is magnificent. We bring forth the newness of this day right here and right now with every breath we take. And we're so thankful for that knowing. We're so thankful for the knowing that we're able to bring forth the newness any time we wish. And so we do that right now. As we greet one another, as we greet the day, as we greet the truth that we'll be talking about today from this podium and with one another after the service. And so it's with this great recognition, this grand recognition that all is well, that I release this word into the law of mind, knowing that it is already done. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Levi and Allison. That was beautiful. And welcome, everyone. Good morning and happy Easter. To everyone with us on Facebook and YouTube and in the sanctuary today, we welcome you to Unity of Pasadena this glorious Easter Sunday morning. This is our soft opening today after nearly a year of having only a skeleton team online streaming in the sanctuary. This is our first hybrid service as well, both streaming and with in-person congregants. We are so grateful for this gift of gathering, and we thank you for cooperating with the ushers in our safe seating plan. Part of our soft opening means no handshakes, no hugs, which I hate because I love that. No singing, no indoor hospitality or inside congregating after the service. But we're here. We also ask your indulgence to please wear your mask inside unless you are on the microphone during the service. A special welcome to everyone joining us for the first time, including Reverend Doris. He is our guest speaker for today. He gave our opening prayer, which was lovely. Reverend Dorst is the associate minister at the Center for Spiritual Living in Covina. Reverend Greg retired from his law practice in 1998, has been a nonprofit CEO, and then a Science of Mind minister. And his lovely wife, Jackie, is also with us. To each of you, wherever you are on your journey of faith, please know that we are enfolding you in love and light with our unity blessing. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you just the way you are. We ground our spiritual community in the truth of divine love as we affirm our statement of faith together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotence. And I am one with that presence and power. Our core values are what motivates us at Unity of Pasadena. Please say them with me. Creating community, living love, teaching truth, serving spirit. Our vision statement is in alignment with Unity Worldwide Ministries. And it is a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Our provisional mission statement, which puts feet on our mission statement, is to transform lives by living and sharing our truth, divine wisdom, compassion, and love using practical spiritual principles. And now, in preparation for our meditation time, Andrea Sheridan will read today's daily word.
Perfect for this beautiful spring day and our first time back together again. Arise. I welcome my resurrection experience. In Mark's gospel, the women who came to anoint Jesus' body on Easter morning flee in terror when, after finding the tomb empty, they're told Jesus had been raised. Stories from the early Christian communities describe a transformation from fear to faith as Jesus' early followers came to realize that not even death can hold the Christ Spirit captive. With joyous faith, Jesus' followers greet one another, declaring, "He is risen," and affirming, "He is risen indeed." Letting go of fear, I say yes to my resurrection experience. Guided by the resurrecting power of the Christ Spirit within me, I am set free from the tomb of lack and limitation. I follow Jesus into the light of new awareness, a new dimension of life. Christ is risen in me. And from Mark 16, verse 6, but he said to them, "Do not be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here.
Teach me to pray. My heart is open wide. My cares are swept away. Spirit, teach me to pray. Teach me to live in grace. Wash my grief away. Here in this silent space, Spirit, teach me to live in grace. Teach me to love unconditionally. Let my heart open up, oh Spirit, teach me to love. Lift me up in the light, in your holy way, knowing this time is right. Spirit, lift me in the light. Spirit, teach me to pray.
Before we start the Lord's Prayer, I invite you to sit back and get comfortable. And let's take a couple of deep breaths. Let's take one in and out. And let's take another one in and out. And let's go for that third breath in and out. And let's begin. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. It's so good to see all of you here today, and thank you for those of you who are watching from your homes. We welcome you to Unity of Pasadena. Easter is a celebration of life's abundance, transformation, and eternal nature. These words came to mind during the Wednesday meditation when I was here. These were the words that came during this meditation. The logical mind wants to know. The faith mind already knows.
And the logical mind wants to know, which is really good because this way we can drive our cars, get to the store, figure out where to park and how to pay and fix our food. But the faith mind already knows. It trusts in the allness within. It trusts that the answers will reveal themselves. So let's go into the silence with our faith minds and with our hearts. And I set forth that our light shines even brighter with our inner knowing and trust. And we lift one another up as we go into the beautiful silence. Please allow these words to be yours. My faith mind has the answers as they are revealed to me in perfect divine timing. I trust and know that all is well in my life now. Unity Minister James Trapp says, God in me, the glory of eternity, where my allness, my oneness, my wholeness lives forever. And for this and so much more, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, indwelling presence. Thank you, infinite light. Oh, blessed are we, our sacred selves. And so it is. Amen.
Close my eyes, I open my heart, I take a deep breath, let the healing start. I lift my hands, I plant my feet, I let love in, I feel the beat, it's calling us to rise, rise. my soul. I clear my mind. I'm here and now in the present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Rise, oh, rise. Spirit, rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, oh, rise. Spirit, rise up, rise in me. I sing to you, you sing to me. Change up this noise, make sweet harmony. Come on and rise, oh rise. Spirit, rise up, rise in me. Oh rise, rise. Spirit, rise up, rise in me. Heart to heart, hand in hand, no turning back, onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark? Oh, we rise as one. Love's calling, calling out your name. Love's calling. It's why we came. Love's calling, calling, calling out your name. Love's calling, calling. It's why we came. Oh, rise, rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, come on and rise, Spirit, rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, Spirit, rise up in me.
Well, first I have to say, with a little bit more volume, if I can. Oh, let's see what we got here. Ah, there we go. Lack of power is our dilemma, right? I mean, it's always been our dilemma. We seek to find it in places like this, and we get it from Allison. We do. We get it from Allison. We get it from Levi. And I want to thank you so much for that. That was absolutely magnificent. In fact, it was so good. If you wouldn't mind singing my talk today, that would really bring some energy. You know, I think the mic might need just a little lower so that we don't get a little feedback there. Thank you. Now we're getting there. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Beautiful. So, happy Easter. And you knew that was coming. You did. But you didn't know this was coming. You see, since we're virtual and also live, and that's a resurrection sort of its own making, of its own in its own right, let's let the people know that can't see you. And by the way, they can't. See, they can't see you. You can tell what they can see. And if you've watched any of these virtually, they can't see you. Let's let them know you're here. So, happy Easter. Give yourselves a hand. Woo! Oh. How beautiful that is. And you know, it's really a great view, too. Your smiling faces are absolutely wonderful, and I can see the smiles in your eyes, even though you're wearing masks. I just want you to know that. So keep smiling. I can see that. And I can also see the future from up here, by the way. I can. I can see the future. I can see this place packed with people. I can see each pew filled with individuals. I can see all of the spaces in the back of the room, back into your other meeting places, filled with people and voices and beauty every single Sunday and all the days in between. So it's nice to know that that's on its way. I mean, we're going to see this. We're going to see this unfold, and I'm excited for you guys. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for inviting me, and thank you for being here. I got this nice, wonderful plant as well, which reminds me of Easter. You know, when I say Happy Easter, that's kind of what it reminds me of, because things are springing up, you see. It's springtime, and the trees are blooming. The flowers are blooming. The leaves are coming out. You can see that there's a change not only in the air, but in the things that you see. And it's a wonderful thing. And Easter brings about that whole idea. You know, it's also interesting that Easter also brings about the idea of, you know, bunny rabbits and eggs and all of that kind of stuff, and that's cool too, and I enjoy that very much. And it also gives many people in the secular world and in the religious world out there, where there are so many different religious traditions that don't celebrate Easter, and they see it as a singular Christian celebration. I want to invite them in by calling this something different today, if you don't mind. I want to call this Resurrection Sunday. All right, I'll call it Resurrection Sunday. We can still say Happy Easter, but I'll call it Resurrection Sunday, because resurrection is something that happens within each of us, whether you believe in spirit, whether you believe in a particular religion, whether you use a particular fundamentalist text for your teachings. It doesn't matter, because resurrection happens within each and every one of us. And it just so happens that today is a day that we celebrate the resurrection of a particular individual over 2,000 years ago who had a great impact on the world then and still does now. And so we can celebrate that. We can celebrate that no matter what he believed, no matter what you believe, no matter what anybody has going on in their thought life. We can celebrate this idea that no matter what he went through, he was able to be healed. No matter what he went through, he survived. No matter what happened to him then, he lives today. You know, and that's a wonderful thing. I love that idea. And I'm going to be talking more about that when we get to the end of this talk, because I'm a real fan of understanding that this consciousness which Jesus brought lives today. And in that context, there's really no need for Jesus to come back. You see, a lot of people say he's coming again. I say he never left. He never left. This consciousness of love and understanding and compassion and kindness and goodness never, ever left. It's within us. It shines through us. We'll get to that. So, my bio, interesting bio, huh? It's kind of a fun bio because it makes it sound like I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. You know, I mean, you start off as a lawyer, and then you're no longer one, and then you decide that you want to be a CEO for nonprofit corporations. And these nonprofit corporations that I was working with were in the recovery field. Recovery from mental health issues, recovery from substance use disorder issues, recovery from those spaces in life. Am I having problems with the, oh, I know what it is. I'll bet you I know what it is. I'll bet you the battery is dead. Well, how about that? I'll bet you my battery is dead. So do I have to say all that over again? So we were at we were talking about me being fickle when it comes to what I do for a living, right? So recovery, yeah. So in order to be the chief executive officer of recovery treatment facilities, mental health facilities, I had to go out and learn something about those things. So I had to go back to school. And so I became proficient in philosophy, psychology, ways of culture, theology. And I had to go back to school and learn some things that would allow me to meet the people I was working with right where they are. So it required some work, and it was an absolutely wonderful journey. I found, however, that at retirement time, that what I wanted to do was to actually work specifically with lawyers and judges and law students who might find themselves hopeless and helpless because of mental health issues or substance use disorder issues. And that's kind of a combination of the two, right? Lawyers, got a great love for all of that stuff, but I know how it can affect you. And it affects them greatly. There's a high degree of substance use disorder and mental health issues in the law. And so I decided to combine the two. And I work specifically now with lawyers and judges and law students who have issues with alcoholism, drug addiction, and mental health. And so you know what I get to see? This is why this is such a big deal and why I really like the idea of Resurrection Sunday. What I get to see is a resurrection from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, from a place of perhaps the lowest moments in their lives, and see the light shine in the eyes again. See them become something more than they were before. To let go of that old, to die to the old and bring about the new. I mean, doesn't that sound like springtime? Doesn't that sound like resurrection? It is. It really is. I mean, we can see it in our lives. So this journey led me to work with lawyers and judges and law students, and I still do today. But in the midst of all that, I decided there was something spiritual about that connection, you see. And decided that I would move into becoming a minister. I went to ministerial school, and I became an ordained minister after several years of practicing in the pulpit in various churches and being a senior minister at the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. And I found it to be exactly the right piece to complete, or at least for now, a puzzle, to start to give some meaning. It somehow touches that little thing there that does all of the. Well, I think that we want to make sure that all of the people that are out there in virtual land hear it all. So let's see if I can do it this way. Let's see if I can just kind of hold it in my pocket. So I want to tell you, doesn't that sound like fun? Yeah, I mean, we are from time to time faced with challenges, and we make it back from those challenges. It's a wonderful thing. So, Jesus got himself in trouble, by the way. Jesus got himself in trouble because he wanted to bring about a new way of being in a time that was filled with what you might call a military-industrial complex that had some religious ideology involved as well. And that military-industrial complex was ruled by a particular person, ruled by an emperor, ruled by Caesar Augustus. And there were ways that rule were. All right, like I said, the spirituality of imperfection. So I like to walk around. I'll hold on to this. How about that? Just a little bit. All right, how about that? Oh boy, now I feel like a game show host. Come on down. Come on down. And so this military-industrial complex with some religious overtones in it was bent on keeping society peaceful. And you know how they did that? You know how the Romans did that? You know how the Romans brought about peace? If you believed anything or acted in any way different than they wanted you to, they killed you. So if you were in any way showing that you didn't want to go along with whatever the program was brought to you by Caesar Augustus, then you were killed. And you know, the great historian Josephus, the first century BC, wrote about their strangely competent manner of putting people to death by saying that on one day alone, 3,000 people were crucified. I mean, that they made a science out of crucifixion. They were really, really good at it. And so Jesus knew that what he was bringing to the forefront, that is a new way of being through love and kindness and caring for other people and justice, for crying out loud, because this society that had taken over through Augustus Caesar was one where there were a lot of people that were haves, that had, and a lot of people who didn't have anything. Money was held by few, and there were a lot of people who were starving. In fact, you know, when Jesus fed the 5,000, why do you think there were so many people there? Well, they were hungry. They were following him. They needed to be fed. They did not have the basic necessities. They did not have food to feed themselves. And so there was this whole thing going on, and justice was a part of it, and Jesus would not remain silent. I mean, Jesus was an advocate for every human being that needed something to survive, that needed clothing, that needed food, that needed a place to stay, that needed a community in which to practice their beliefs. And so he sort of understood what was going to happen to him. And we know this because John, the gospel writer, talks about how one day Jesus is at the temple in Jerusalem, and he steps out in front of everybody and he says boldly, "Destroy this temple," because he's in front of the temple, which is gold and brick and stone. He says, "Destroy this temple and I will rebuild it in 3 days." And of course, they laughed at him because it took 46 years for that temple to be built. I mean, this is chronicled in John 20:19. And they were looking at him as if he were crazy. But he wasn't talking about that temple. He was talking about this temple. He was talking about the temple of the body. See, he understood then that he was going to be destroyed. He was going to be put to death. And he was telling people what was going to happen. He was going to rebuild it, come back in 3 days. You know, when he did come back, and by the way, there are all sorts of stories in the Gospels, the canonical Gospels. What they do is tell different stories. I mean, if you've read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you know that the stories are a bit different. And, you know, in one, you know, the tomb was empty and there was one person there. And then there were two in another one. And then Mary mistook him for the gardener. And, I mean, they're all different. They're all just a little bit different. And I think that what that's about is that those little details were not the crux of the story. See, that's not what the story was really supposed to be about. How many people were there, who saw it first, and all of that. That didn't make any difference at all. You know, what we find is that the crux of the story, the real meat of the story, is this idea that you can be healed of anything. You see, because what happened was in John, the gospel writer John says, and Jesus appeared in front of his disciples. And they were in a room. They were hidden away somewhere because, I mean, Jesus was killed, so they felt that they might be next. And so they're hidden in a room, and he appears in front of them. And he says, "Peace be with you." Those are his first words. "Peace be with you." What a beautiful thing to say, right? Peace be with you. Of course, that's, I guess, what you do when you're resurrected and you show up in front of your followers, peace be with you. And then, because he knew that they might doubt, of course, he shows them his wounds. He shows them the nail holes, and he shows them the spear holes in the sides of his body, because, like I said, the Romans had perfected crucifixion. They used horrible ways of attaching him to the cross, and then they would pierce the side to release some of the fluids, and it was a horrible way to die. But he showed them these wounds. Jesus showed them these wounds. And can you imagine? Peace be with you. Look at this. Look at this. See? Peace be with you. Here are my wounds. And he did this for an amazing lesson for his disciples. You can come back from anything. Just when it looks like things are completely over, they're not. You can be healed of anything. Do you believe that? Do you believe you can be healed of anything? I do. I absolutely believe that. I mean, what better way to send that message? It is not over. Just when you think it is not over. And so Jesus is in front of his disciples and says these things, and they're amazed. They may not get the true import of what he has to say, because many of the people that followed him did not. But he had a clear message for us. And so this idea that you can be healed is not just for Christians. It's for everybody. And everybody is in need of healing from time to time. And you see, I get to see these egotistical lawyers come into my life, and I get to look them right in the eye, and I get to say to them, you can be healed of this, and that's something you must know. And that's not just religious, it's for everybody. This can happen. What a wonderful thing, I mean, to be able to take a story like this, one of the greatest stories ever told, and use it in real life situations, to be able to see it unfolding in front of you in your job, in your family, in your life, to be able to recognize and know that this healing that you're undergoing right now is, in a sense, a resurrection. It's bringing about a newness which is absolutely magnificent. It's the way of life. And I say that with a capital L, life with a capital L. And when I use a capital L on any word like life, what I mean, it's the way of spirit. It's the way of God. It's the way of everything. And so, this idea that Jesus never left, it takes some discussion, and I'm going to have that discussion with you right now. It takes some discussion to get there, and I know that this group would understand this discussion. A lot of groups won't understand this discussion. I don't have it with everyone. But this discussion requires that you understand that there's a oneness and that there's a unity of all things that exists. It's not just a bunch of things. It's one thing. And so I want you to say after me, repeat after me, there's only one thing. One thing. It may look like more than one thing. It may feel like more than one thing. But it's only one thing. Expressing as you, expressing as me, and everything we see. So there's only one thing, and it all came about as a result of God speaking its word. As God using itself to create, as Genesis said, the heavens, the earths, all beasts, everything that roams the earth. And let's expand that a little bit. The substance of God, that which God is, creating out of itself the universe. Everything that we see, everything that we are ever able to see, everything we're ever able to be, created by this singular source out of itself by simply using itself, which means that God is not just in every single one of us and everything that we see, but God in its full measure is that which has been created. That's you. That's you, by the way. That's you, that's me, that's everything we see. God in its full measure operating as you right now. And so science tells us that there's really nothing called time, right? I mean, this has been happening. This has been happening since the beginning of time, since there is no time. It's been happening since the beginning of time. It's always been happening. It's been happening forever and will continue forever. You see, this material thing that we call a church, a home, a father, a mother, ourselves, our body, it is useful for today, but it will melt into that which is. It will return to that substance of God, and it'll come back as something else. But that doesn't mean that what has ever been here is gone, is lost. The ideas that have been brought forth by every single person that ever lived on this earth are still here. The consciousness, and many people, including myself, believe that consciousness is all there is. The consciousness of Jesus, the consciousness of each of you is here right now, available, accessible. So the consciousness of love, of peace, of kindness that Jesus brought to this earth to bring about a change, one that was so necessary, is still here, always has been, always will be. There's no need to come back because it's always here. The consciousness of your parents, the consciousness of friends that may have passed on, the consciousness of everything you have ever known, each pet you've had, each home you've ever lived in that brought about a sense of family and community, it's still within you. It's still alive. It's still available. It doesn't go anywhere. You see, this is what true unity is. This is what true oneness is all about. Not that this thing has to come back. It's still here. The substance, the presence, the mechanics of God always operating. It doesn't matter who's here. It's one. And so when I say that Jesus was resurrected, yes, I mean, that's a wonderful thing for us to understand and know, because then we know that there really is nothing we cannot heal from. And just when we think our life is over, it can begin again. But what needs to be really held onto as a result of that is that this whole thing, this whole unity, this whole system, which is oneness in action, is being healed as a whole as well. It is. It is. There's unity. There is no separation. There is oneness, even though it may not look like it from time to time. So when you look about you, and you see some strife, and you see some difficulty, and you see some oppression, and you see, the things that you don't like happening in the news, whatever that might be, just understand that these are the things that happen just before new ideas erupt and bring about a resurrection right in front of your eyes. A resurrection of new ideas, bringing about a new life for you and I. You see, because what we do is we create with ideas. We create with ideas. I mean, we see that this center, this church, this magnificent space was first developed with an idea. And you may think that it's the people that laid the foundation, that built the walls, that did the drywalling, that put in the carpet, that built this space, but it's the idea that built this space. It's the idea that built this place. It's the idea that brought about this religion, this magnificent unity consciousness. These are ideas. And so now we can see Jesus as an idea, a magnificent idea in the mind of God, in the mind of each and every one of you. And we celebrate that today. But you can celebrate it every day you wake up. You can celebrate it when you see the sunrise or when you open your eyes to a loved one. When you see your children, your grandchildren, your garden, your dogs, your cats, whatever you take a look at, you can see this newness right in front of your eyes. We don't have to wait for Resurrection Sunday to see it. But Resurrection Sunday reminds us that it's happening all the time. It's happening through everything that we see. And you know, some people ask me, does this mean that you don't believe that Jesus really came back from the dead? And I take a look at them and say, it doesn't really matter what I believe, you know? But what I believe is that there's a lesson for each of us right now in this. Otherwise, it doesn't have the power you think it does. There's a lesson today brought to us by what happened 2,000 years ago. I love that newness, that idea of newness. It allows me to meet new people with an open heart. It allows me to step into new situations without fear. It allows me to do things every single day that are brand new, that bring about new experiences for me, for my wife, for my family, without fear. You know, I think that Resurrection Sunday is my favorite day. I really do. And I'm so happy to be able to spend it with each of you. So happy to bring this consciousness here to this space and to recognize and know new people from the heart. And so it's with a glorious heart and happiness that I tell you that there's only one thing, and you are that. And so it is. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Reverend Greg, for those beautiful words of inspiration of this lesson. And on this Resurrection Sunday, right? And I want to say one more thing before we continue. I really appreciate your flexibility. Did you see how you just rolled with it? I love it. Especially because many of you who have been following us as we've streamed have noticed that we've had a few technical difficulties off and on, right? Yeah. Despite, by the way, Nancy's team and hard work. Thank you, Nancy, for working so hard. And we continue to strive to, as I've said before, get it just right, like baby bear's porridge. So, at this point, this is the time of our moment to be able to give. Yeah, I'm trying to find myself here. Okay. Okay, today our ushers are introducing a touch-free way to gather your offerings, as well as any prayer requests or April Sunday RSVPs, which can be found in your pew racks. If you are giving at this service, or if your gift has come via any other way, please hold it in your hand or in your heart, in your mind's image, as we say this affirmation together. God is the source of my overflowing supply, and I am grateful. And by the way, feel free to bless the basket as it comes before you.
born anew. The bitter cold and the icy gloom are now tiny buds about to bloom. They will rise in you. You are my light. You are my joy. You are my strength. I rise in you. You are my hope. You are my love. You are my peace. I rise in you. Let everything upon this earth participate in this rebirth and be born anew. Let every heart be lifted higher. Let every soul now be inspired to rise in you. 'Cause you are my light. You are my joy. You are my strength. I rise in you. You are my hope. You are my love. You are my peace. I rise in you. You are the force that lifts the eagle's wings. You are the power that makes my heart sing. You are the power that turns an acorn to a tree. You are the power working miracles in me. I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise in you. You are my joy. You are my strength. I rise in you. You are my hope. You are my love. You are my peace. I rise in you. Oh yeah. All right. I'll rise.
So beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Will you please raise your hands to bless the gifts we just received and all the givers who generously share of their time, talent, tithes, and treasure with Unity of Pasadena. As we bless these gifts and givers, we are one in supporting this spiritual community, and with these gifts, we commit to live with passion and integrity to fulfill our mission. God's divine plan for Unity of Pasadena is now manifesting. We are prosperous for all that is and all that is to be. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, both in person and online. For the month of April, we're going to ask that you please make your reservation, that you RSVP for any in-person attendance to admin@unityofpasadena.org. That would be for the next 3 Sundays, please. If you did not fill out your reservation slip today, you can still drop it off in the basket at the back of the sanctuary on your way out. We have a couple of announcements today. We will have brown bag hospitality after service today, one of my favorites. Remember also that next Sunday, April 11th at 1 p.m. is the all-church genogram workshop, which will be Reverend David's last transition workshop with us. It is an important finale to our transition work, and we do hope you'll attend. Prayer request forms are now in the pew racks, as well as in the foyer. We will let you know when the prayer chaplains are going to be again offering in-person service, hopefully sometime in the future. Let's remember also to keep them in our prayers. As we have no congregational singing yet, there will be no peace song today, but we will close with the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enflows us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever God is, I am. And all is well. Again, we thank you so much for coming and joining us today. If you are here in person, we ask that you not congregate in the sanctuary or fellowship hall, but gather safely distanced on the back patio, the parking lot, or lawn areas. You will find some fellowship hall chairs on the back patio for visiting and for our brown bag get-together today. Thank you.